I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV. The real deal.
Shut up, troll, let the soul flow. Let me block you, what you gonna do? Read the check, get fat, smoke grass. I don't have a rich time, me out, bitch. Freedom of speech, my ass smoke grass. Thanks for the race, I won't leave it in the rain. Must want the power of the mob. Let me block you, what you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Let me block you, what you gonna do?
I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV. The real deal.
Must want the power of mod. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Fry TV is the place to be. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? My wrench is blue. Shut up, troll, let the soul flow. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Read the check, get fat, smoke grass. I don't have a rich time, me out, bitch. Freedom of speech, my ass smoke grass. Thanks for the rich, I won't leave it in the rain. Must score the power of the mud. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Block me, block you, what you gonna do?
I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV. The real deal. Nice to meet you, big time. I'm Small Fry.
All right, let's get right into it here. Let's see what we got going on here. We're going to do a little bit of flat earth stuff. Now, people have been wanting me to do this, so here we go. It's going to be a little bit disjointed and all over the place, so I've been doing a lot of show prep. I'm still looking through my 26 to 28 terabytes of data from about 10 years ago. I have some really cool flat earth stuff, but I'm gathering it back and organizing my stuff. So this is going to be part 1, Flat Earth Friday. I know it's a Thursday, but I'm just having a little bit of fun. Normally I'm off Fridays, but I'm on Thanksgiving duty, so I have a live cut over at 11 o'clock with the radio station. So I've been running the station for the last couple of days. And I'll be running it tomorrow too. So, well, we got 18 people already in the chat. All right, so let's get right to it. We got Son Honey, Oscar, Hector, Danny, Carla, Carl, yeah, easy for you to say. Jeremy, who am I leaving out there? Yeah, you know the crew. So let's get right into it. We got Kimberly Sweet. All right, so let's get right into this first clip. And this first clip's going to be a little bit of introduction. Of course, I'm going to pause and talk over it and do my best to interact with the chat and go from there. Yeah, Dan says the earth is not flat. Back to football. I got football over here, so if you want to see the football here, I got mainstream brainwashing stuff right over here. So if you want to watch football, we can switch it to the overexposed TV screen right there. All right. The earth is flat, and you just have to break down your brainwashing. So this is going to be a ripping off the veil of how big is your ego? Can you allow the truth to come into your brain? Because you've been brainwashed your whole life. So let's start off with this one video here, and I'm going to be pausing and commenting, obviously. How's it going, Hector?
In 240 BC, a Jesuit named Eratosthenes, my apologies to any ancient Greeks among you, he calculated the Earth's circumference. He did that by planting a stick in the ground at midday so that the sunlight, being directly overhead, would cast no shadow. Simultaneously, about 400 miles away, somebody else planted the stick in the same way and found that the sunlight cast a shadow. So by taking a shadow length and knowing the distance between the sticks, you could theoretically work out the circumference of the Earth. Take note that this method requires that the sun be a long, long way away so that the light coming from the sun is all parallel. Just keep that in the back of your mind because we'll come back to this later. However, it turns out that you'd get exactly the same results on a flat Earth if the sun were only 3,100 miles away and 34 miles across. Now, as crazy as that might sound, I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind because we're going to come back to this as well. Perhaps the most famous experiment to disprove the idea of a curvature was performed by Samuel Rowbottom in the late 1800s. The old Bedford Levels experiment was performed on a canal in Cambridgeshire, which is
And this
perfectly
guy's
straight
hard to
for 6 miles.
understand. So I don't. This video is really old, and I don't know if they did it double speed or what. So I'm going to pull up the audio a little bit on this because it's really hard for me to hear it. So I'm going to pull that up and see if that helps. But anyway, all these experiments they did prove that there's the water is always level. It's not curved. And let's fast forward here and let's go to the Polaris star, something that never moves. And what we're going to get to on this part 1 is the astrolabe. And I'm going to get straight into the astrolabe after this. And it's a mechanical computer that is accurate to this day down to the second. And you'll see here in a second. But the Earth does not move. The stars move above us. And Polaris always stays in the same spot.
You've, say, always lived in England, where the velocity of the Earth there is something around, I think it's 700 miles an hour. And you get on a plane and fly down to the equator, where it's actually spinning at over 1,000 miles an hour. Why is it that you don't feel dizzy and notice the change in velocity? Well, we'll ignore that. There are many theories that supposedly show that the Earth is spinning. But I want to concentrate on one such theory, which is that the motion of the stars prove that the Earth is spinning. This theory proposes that the stars are static, fixed and unchanging, and it's the Earth that's spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour, and that the axis of spin is pointing at a particular star called Polaris, the pole star. So, from an observer on the Earth, it appears that the stars are spinning around the star Polaris. Now, Polaris is something like 2 quadrillion miles away, and as far as we know, the polar axis has always pointed at Polaris. So, spinning around.
So back to that image right there, you can see Polaris is right in the middle, and it never moves. So if we're doing this actual function here, so let's go over to my Flat Earth Part 1 and go to, let's see, where did I put that one at? It's hiding right here, I think. So this is NASA's version of what the world is doing, what we're going through this galaxy. Now this astrolabe that I'm going to show you, it's a mechanical computer that's accurate to this day, still shows all the stars, constellation, it can tell time down to the second for the most part. But this is what NASA tells you our solar system is doing. We're going through this Milky Way galaxy at trillions of miles an hour. And that would be impossible if the star Polaris stays in the same spot and we have the same constellations every time of the year at the same time. So look how fast they say we're going. 514,000 miles an hour through the Milky Way galaxy. I don't feel any of that motion, do you? Oh, and they also say the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour like this. We're doing this number. So they're saying that the Earth is spinning on its axis, okay, 1,000 miles an hour. Now, let's just do a little mental experiment. Let's say this is a perfect stainless steel ball bearing, okay? My mic is a little bit low. And it was perfectly balanced. If you spin this 1,000 miles an hour, it's still going to vibrate. It's going to be out of balance. It's never going to be perfectly balanced, no matter what, if you're spinning this at 1,000 miles an hour. So now let's take the Earth the way we think it is, if you're a globe head, like I used to be, and there's water, mountains, flat, the salt flats, you name it, canals, different terrain, it's all different weights and measures and everywhere. It's just different. It's not a perfectly smooth sphere. The Earth is not, even if it was a ball, it's not perfect because there's mountains, hills, valleys, oceans, lakes, canals, bridges, people, buildings, everything. And it's always changing. So you spin that 1,000 miles an hour, it would be out of balance immediately. Okay, so there was no way we could be spinning 1,000 miles an hour and stay in balance. And then they also say we're going around, let's say this microphone's the sun, or can we get a better sun? Let's say we have a blue sun, okay? Let's be blue here. So we're going around the sun at 65 or 67,000 miles an hour while we're spinning in a circle at 1,000 miles an hour. And if you look at this illustration right here, they say we're going 514,000 miles an hour while all these other motions are happening at the same time. Okay, that's not possible. All right. So let's get back down to earth here, pun intended, and finish this little tutorial. So there's no need to waste a lot of time on this nonsense. It's just a bunch of brainwashing. It's all CGI. Notice anytime you see an image of the ball or globe Earth, it's always computerized. There's never been one single photo taken of the Earth. And everything I'm stating here are facts. So I'm staying away from speculation, and we're going to stick with facts. So the facts are there's never been a photo of the Earth taken from space. That's a fact. It's all CGI. And it's all computerized. There's another fact. Hey, shout out to Jared Allen. Haven't seen you on live in a while. So anyway, that's what NASA's telling us is going on, which we know is a bunch of BS. So let's get back to reality here, and let's find a video. Why are we making those noises? We don't need to make those noises. This is A. All right. We just played that one. So here's an astrolabe. So this is what I was going to talk about originally, and I started off kind of at the end.
An astrolabe has many uses.
So let's get to an
from
astrolabe.
Identifying stars to finding daily time. It may have been developed by the Greeks, but it reached its zenith in the hands of Islamic scientists. They wanted...
And if you're new to an astrolabe, it's a mechanical computer that's very old, and it still to this day can calculate down to the minute, the month, the day, just by pointing it at the sun the correct way. And it's an ancient computer. It's an ancient clock calendar. It'll show you the constellations at the same time of the year. It
From
points at the
Wikipedia.org. The traditional 48 constellations, consisting of the zodiac and 36 more, now 38, following the division of arc.
Shut up. I didn't ask you for anything. I guess I did say the C word, though. You can't say the C word around here. Computer, what's the forecast?
Right now in Elgin, it's 47 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Tonight's forecast has just a few clouds in the sky, with a low of 37 degrees. By the way, I am trying to respond from the right place. Was this the device you expected?
Yeah, and I'm going live now because you doxed me, but you said my hometown wrong. But nice try.
Great. Thank you.
All right, so anyway, the astrolabe is a mechanical computer. This is a 2-minute video, so give it a second, and this will kind of give you a 100,000-foot view of what an astrolabe is.
To make better, more accurate instruments to calculate time.
This is an Islamic astrolabe. This instrument...
And the point of this video is an astrolabe could not function today if we were doing all these movements going through the Milky Way galaxy at 514,000 miles an hour while the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and going around the sun at 67. You could not measure the time and the date correctly. So that's the reason why I'm focusing on the astrolabe, and then I'll get to some other instruments later that we use to this day, like sundials that are hundreds of thousands, or I know one right now that's 750 years old that still works, that's carved into rock. And that would be an impossibility if the Earth was moving.
It's actually a mechanical computer. What you see here is the projection of the sky for a specific latitude. This is for Istanbul.
I'm going to rewind that because I had a little rookie move there.
The projection of the sky for a specific latitude. This is for Istanbul.
Etched on the base plate is the horizon line. Precise altitude circles marking the sun's height above the horizon, and the meridian showing midday and midnight. On top of the base plate is a movable plate showing stars and constellations, and a ring that represents the apparent movement of the sun throughout the year. It's labeled with dates.
So I know I said I wasn't going to let the chat kind of throw me off into the ditch here. So CCAM says, so even if the Earth is flat, what does that change for me? I don't know. What does it change for you? I'm really not here to take your ball from you, but I was the biggest globalist 10 years ago before I started looking into this stuff and have tons of empirical data to prove that the Earth is not a spinning ball. And also, if you're a Bible scholar, the Bible talks about the firmament and that kind of stuff. So the Bible also talks about that. But I like to stay away from things that were written by man and stay away from speculation and stay with stuff that I can prove for a fact, instruments that prove to this day that we are not moving. So it changes a lot of things. For me, Flat Earth changed. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. This right here is where we're going to be probably on part 2. So where is my picture? I opened it up. There we go. So this right here is giving you I'm kind of fast forwarding here. So this is what it changes for me. Oh no. So let's zoom in for a second. And what do we see right here? We see the real map of the Earth, which is the standard map. You can find them out there. They're old. And it's the UN logo. So if you look at this is the UN logo. You got to love that little glitch there. This is the UN logo. So the UN logo is this right here. And the outside of the UN logo is the little wheat stuff that is Antarctica. And this is where it broadens your horizon. When you know that we've been lied to about the world we live in, you have you know that the money that NASA is getting to lie to you is like $28 to $26 billion a year, their budget. So where's that money actually going? Why are they wanting to keep us in this prison planet? They don't want us to know that there's land outside here. And that is also where we're going next, is the person that went to this land, and they went right through here. You see my little mouse right there, the hand. They went right through here, if I'm not mistaken, and they found this continent right here, this landmass, which they claimed was as big as the United States. It was either here, or they went around to this one. I can't remember, or this one. I'm going to have to brush up on that, but they did it back in the 30s and the 50s. And then guess what happened? When they discovered this land, there was an Antarctic Treaty. And when did they put the Antarctic Treaty where you can't go to Antarctica? December 1st, 1959, yeah, put this on a napkin so I'd remember, is when they enacted the Antarctic Treaty. So all the governments together, combined, they don't want the slaves to leave the land and know what's really happening in the world. So they said, well, you can't go past a certain point in Antarctica or you will be shot. So yes, it's protected by the military. They want to keep the slaves in their little cage. The rats are going to be stuck in the cage. So it changes a lot when you know that you've been lied to. Just something as simple as the Earth, what shape it is, where we are. So let's get back to the astrolabe real quick, and I will do my best not to read the chat for at least 5 seconds.
It starts with one single observation. And we will actually try to maintain the position of this piece exactly aligning with the sun. I think it's now aligned. This is a perfect alignment, and we just read the altitude from here to here.
Yeah.
Is 54 degrees.
That means the sun is 54 degrees above the horizon. The user now turns the astrolabe over to find the 54-degree circle on the bottom plate. Next step, find and mark the date. It's etched on the ring that represents the sun's path. Then rotate the plate until the date aligns with the altitude mark. If you take a piece of string from the center of the astrolabe through the aligned points, you can read the time from the rim. The line is like the hand of a clock.
The line is like the hand of a clock.
It's 4 minutes past 2 in the
Just like a sundial works off of the sun.
afternoon.
It also shows you where the constellations are perfectly every year, exactly how they are. It would be an impossibility if we were traveling through the Milky Way galaxy at 514,000 miles an hour we would be seeing new stars all the time.
Once we reach that, we can calculate any time. So that is not a simple to use instrument, but accurate enough for all timekeeping applications.
It's not easy to use, but accurate. You hear what he said? And I've looked at tons. I don't own an astrolabe, but I might get one day if I can find one that's not a piece of junk that's made in China. But there's a lot of people out there that have made their own, and they all work perfectly. So that's Deep State PBS, all right? So we got PBS telling you how astrolabes work, all right? So let's look at something like this dude. Let's go over here and see what he's got to say about the astrolabe real quick.
When you have an astrolabe, when you understand an astrolabe, you've got the universe in the palm of your hand. I'm Seb Falk. I'm a historian at Cambridge University, and I'm the author of The Light Ages. People often assume that modern science began in the Renaissance, or began with the scientific revolution, as they sometimes call it, in the 17th century or perhaps the 18th century.
Hey, CKM, have you ever done DMT? I highly recommend Everything is Fake Yo. What? I've done, back in the day when I was a teenager, I experimented with all kinds of fun stuff. But I don't think DMT was one of them. Did shrooms and acid. So we got part of Bonsai in the chat. Cool. All right, so let's get back to, this is a really short video. This guy's talking about the astrolabe and his experiences with it. And then we're going to jump to an old map that I found of the world that dates back to 15 something. So we'll get to that here in a second.
And to an extent that's true, but we mustn't ignore the contributions of the Middle Ages, the foundation of the universities, for example, the invention of the first mechanical clocks, or work with lenses, which allowed the first eyeglasses. But more important than the innovations of the Middle Ages.
And again, if you just got here, the reason why I'm showing the astrolabe is it proves for a fact that the Earth is stationary, just like it says in the Bible. And the skies above us are moving. We're not moving through this Milky Way galaxy that NASA lies about. So I'm going backwards into the flat Earth because this will help people kind of unlearn what you think you know. And first of all, you have to know that we're not moving. Second of all, you have to know that NASA never wants to talk about the astrolabe because it proves that we're not moving. And NASA wants you to think that we are through animations and TV and video and movies and sci-fi. People think that we live on a spinning ball because we're brainwashed about that. The first thing when you are in school, remember they have the little globe that you spin when you're a little kid? You spin that little thing and you're brainwashed and they go, "You are here." And then that imprints in your brain. And then you go, "Okay." And then you take a test about where you are in all the states. And remember all the brainwashing you had? It solidifies that. So that's the whole point of the astrolabe. This is it's not a NASA instrument. This is an ancient instrument. It's a mechanical computer that's still accurate to this day. And it proves that we're not moving throughout the galaxy. It proves that the stars rotate above us and they always come back at the exact same spot every time of the year, just like the sun does.
Ages were the ideas and the mindset of the Middle Ages, the curiosity, which allowed people to take an interest in the world around them. And so when we think about the Middle Ages, we shouldn't just be thinking about battles and wars and kings and queens. We should be thinking about a vibrant scientific culture which ran through society, especially educated society.
What is
Astronomers in the Middle Ages often like to say that there was no way of understanding science without scientific instruments. And the central scientific instrument of the Middle Ages was this one, the astrolabe. The astrolabe is a tool for scientific calculation and observation, but it's also a model of the universe. It's a planisphere, which means the sphere is squashed flat, just like a map is a squashed globe. The story goes that Ptolemy, the great ancient Greek astronomer, was out riding his horse one day carrying an armillary sphere, which is a three-dimensional model of the heavens, and he dropped it by accident, and his horse trod on it and squashed it flat, and thus was produced the astrolabe. Now that's a bit of a fanciful tale, but what Ptolemy did do was work out how to make a three-dimensional sky understandable and workable on a two-dimensional instrument. The stars are always fixed in relation to each other, so move about on this part, which is called the rete, and they move over the background of the heavens.
They move over the background of the heavens, which is above us, the heavens above. So this astrolabe does not prove that we live on a flat Earth. It proves that the stars above us are the exact same every time of the year. So that's what I'm talking about here. These people are not, quote, flat earthers or trying to prove flat Earth when they're holding an astrolabe in their hand. They're just measuring the heavens above us, which are the stars, the constellations. So this is scientific fact. This is not scientism or a religion or a cult of science that I'm talking about. The astrolabe is a scientific instrument you can build yourself, and it'll allow you to keep time, the day of the weeks, the constellations, everything all in your hand. It's like a smartphone without batteries, in a sense, that has this super app on it that always shows the stars and the constellations. It's an amazing device. It's hard for me to put my head around. The people that designed the astrolabe are geniuses. They're way above my pay scale.
So how does it work? How about we want to know the time? Very simple thing that we're used to being able to know every day. Well, in order to know the time, simply we have to set the astrolabe for the position of the heavens as it is right now, and read the time on the face of the astrolabe. So the first thing we have to do is to find the position of the sun in the heavens. And we do that by turning to the back and looking at the calendar. And we say the date today is the 6th of July. And we find on this scale on the back that on the 6th of July, the sun is in the...
If you want me to have a little panel after this, just put one in the chat. And the panel can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about flat Earth.
Sign of Cancer, and it's at about the 14th degree of Cancer. So we found that on the back, but before we turn back to the front of the astrolabe, we have to measure the height
Hey, CNA Productions, I see you in there.
of the sun in the sky, assuming it's daytime. At nighttime, you could use any star, but in the daytime, if it's sunny, you want to measure the height of the sun in the sky using this part called the alidade. You turn the astrolabe so that it's edge on to the sun, and then you turn the alidade so that the light of the sun streams through these sights, and the upper sight casts a shadow on the lower sight. And then when you've done that, you can measure the height of the sun above the horizon. So let's say, for example, the height of the sun above the horizon.
All right, so you get the picture. You know, I don't want to go too long in the tooth on this astrolabe.
Or maybe I'll mark it with a pen. Those are things.
But you can find tons of people out there making their own, buying them, working with them, and they work like perfect to this day. So here's an old map that I found running around. This is one of the older flat Earth maps, and it's dated back to 1570 something. Let me restart this video here and see it popped up for a second. 1587 is what this was dated. Now you can find tons of flat Earth maps from different parts of the world. They're all the same, and they all show the ice ring around the outside, which is Antarctica. So if you can see that where the mouse is, that's the Antarctica. The North Pole is basically the center, And here's another fun fact. So you can only circumnavigate the world east and west. And why do I say that? So let's pause this little video here. And the reason why you can only circumnavigate the world east and west is, let me get my little drawing tool out here. Let's see if we can draw on this. So right here is north, the North Pole. And Polaris is right above the North Pole. That's the star that never moves. So it's right above the middle of the North Pole. And Antarctica is this ice ring out here. So this is the south, what they call the South Pole. And if you take a compass is a 2D measuring device, which it can only measure magnetic field in 2 dimensions, not 3. So a compass, which is a 2D measuring device, can only measure on a 2D realm, not a 3D realm. So that also proves, it's another measuring device like an astrolabe, that we live on a stationary flat plane and not a sphere, because in order to measure north and south on a sphere, you'd have to have some kind of weird, sophisticated 3D device that would, how would you get north and south on a sphere when you just have to look at a magnetic field to understand what I'm saying. So now that we know this is the south, this circle around the outside of this old flat earth map, and this center part is the north, then what do we have in here? So if we go like this, that's going from north to south. This is going from north to south. I'll make little arrows to show you. So these little arrows, that's going from north to south. You see that? North to south. So you can't circumnavigate the earth, and it's never been circumnavigated from north to south. You can look into this yourself. The earth has always been circumnavigated. Let's erase this here. Boom, boom, boom. The earth has only been circumnavigated like this. It's only been circumnavigated from east to west. One way is east and the other way is west. That's the only way the earth has ever been circumnavigated. So if somebody says, well, we've gone around the earth. Yeah, they've only gone around east to west. If you start heading north, anywhere in the world, if you start heading north, you're going to cross the North Pole and you're going to eventually head south and hit the ice wall, the Antarctica. If you start off in Antarctica and you head north, you're going to hit the North Pole and you're going to hit the south. And you can't circumnavigate. You can't go in a circle from north to south. It's an impossibility, no matter where you're at. If you start off in the south, you head north again. If you start off north, you head south. You hit there. So you can't circumnavigate the earth from north to south. These are facts. And you just got to look into it. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. So this is an older flat earth map that to this day, it's still accurate with the newer ones. All right, let's carry on here. What's next? Okay, let's see. We got, let's see what this one is. Oh, so let's get to this. Now, the sun is local and inside of our, how should I say, firmament. Just like it says in the Bible. But I'm not a Bible person. But I like to throw that in there every now and then. So, this is how local and small the sun is. The sun is actually about the same size as the moon. It's inside the firmament. And, oh, look, my drawing is still over it. Let's get rid of my drawing there. So this is, pilots have been capturing this over the years, and I found some that are 20 to 13 years old. The footage is pretty rough looking, but this one is about 5 to 8 years old. And these are pilots capturing the sun very local. So anyway, as you can see, you can find tons of videos out there that show how local the sun actually is. And you can also see the rays of the sun. I'll show you another one here. The rays of the sun. We'll get to that one. Here we go. This one's a fun one. So you can triangulate.
Good evening,
This guy's talking. We don't need his
all you earthlings.
come on.
I'm making a
Mute.
short video as I'm
Why
driving
can we
through the
not
country
mute
in
him?
Dripping Springs, Texas, and
He's
noticing
in Dripping Springs,
spectacular
Texas.
crepuscular rays
He's talking
that
about
are
the
a little
crepuscular
different
rays,
than
and
I've
I'll
ever
pause
seen
this
them.
if I can.
So normally
Are we
you
gonna
see
have
like
a
one
lockup
patch
during
of
my stream?
crepuscular rays going just like that in one
We
patch.
might have a.
Well, here we
if
got
the stream crashes for
One,
whatever reason,
two,
I'll be
three
back.
patches of crepuscular rays.
So let's do this.
And I'm going to zoom in on each of them.
And we're gonna kill this video because it's pissing me off.
I mean, they're not parallel, but they're they're
End
coming down.
task. All right. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna open that with a different player. So we're gonna open that with VLC and see if that's a little bit more usable. Yes. All right. So I wanted to show you this really quick because I'll pause it right when it's perfect, whenever it's showing the angle of the rays coming through the clouds. And it will prove to you that the sun is very close, right above those clouds. When I say very close, it's not like 50 feet. You know, it could be 70-something miles, 100 miles. And we're going to pause it right. Come on, a little bit further. Boom, right there. All right, so I'll do a little drawing here for you real quick. So you can see the sun is probably right around here. All right, this is where the sun is. All right, and it's obviously above those clouds. And you can see that the rays are at this angle. So you can see that they're coming down right here. All right, you can see that coming through the clouds. And I have better videos of this. I'm just showing you this one. And you can see that the rays over here coming through these clouds are like that, at that angle, shooting through those clouds, and you can see them cutting through right here. And that's simple geometry, scientific measurement, triangulation is what that amounts to. The light source is here, and that's the angle of the rays. So people can see this all around, and we'll go to the next video that illustrates that. So here's another one that illustrates the sun is very close and local. This one actually does it even a little bit better because the time lapse shows the clouds moving and the sun is, I'll pause the video and get rid of my drawing here. And I will show you on one of these. The first one was right there. Okay, right there. Boom, that's a good one. So, where do you think the sun is here? Well, from my point of view, the sun kind of looks like it's around here somewhere. And then you can see the rays coming down at an angle this way through the clouds. All right, and if we had more of an image to the left, obviously we'd start seeing the rays come through the clouds on this area over here. So you can just start observing this. A lot of this is perspective. So let's erase those little happy rays there and carry on. And I have one more perspective of the sun rays video that's coming up here. So let's get rid of this one. Are we having fun yet? Did anybody else have to work on Thanksgiving like me? Yeah, wah. All right, so here we go. This is another one. Where do you think the sun is in this video? It's very close. If the sun was 93 million miles away, like NASA tells us, those rays would be just like this. Those rays would be pointing straight down through the clouds, straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down. If the sun was 93 million miles away, okay, it would be straight down. But the sun is not that. So the sun is probably off the screen, but it's up here. It's a little higher, obviously, but it's over here somewhere, and you can see the triangulation because you can see the rays perfectly coming from the light source through the holes. And you can do these experiments yourself. Take a piece of cardboard and a light source, put you some holes in it, and do your own mind experiment. It's critical thinking. So the sun is somewhere up there, just like they show on the all-seeing eye. They put it on the dollar bills too. So that's pretty obvious there where the sun is. I love this time-lapse video. Look at that. Look at those rays moving. We got some more new people in the chat. Do we have Honk Tube in there? Somebody put honk. Honk. Giddy up, boom, papa, honk, honk. Who put honk in the, what's going on? Is Honk Tube in the chat? All right, next. Let's do one more, and then we'll jump to the sundials, which are the coolest things ever, which also prove. Here's some more clouds behind the sun, or suns behind the, let's see, what did the video say? Clouds behind the sun, which they're inferring that the sun is very local. And you can see how the sun is kind of nested in the clouds there. And you can see when they zoom in, it looks like the clouds are behind the sun. Now, is that just an illusion? Could be, but it's still, you can see how local the sun is. That's pretty damn close.
Every precious minute of their 2.5 hours on the surface was programmed. Rock and soil samples were to be collected.
And you can find videos the pilots take of this. It's not just, this is not CGI. This is not CGI. Look at that. You can see the cell phone tower. Check out the cell phone tower right there. So they must have been close to a cell phone tower. You think that's T-Mobile or Verizon? All right, up next, we got the fun stuff here, and we got the sundials. So this is going to be a quick short video.
Sun Temple, built in the
so there's a sun temple. It's 750 years old, and to this day, you can see how it takes, and it can show you the exact time with the sun in the sky in the exact same spot every time of the day, down to like the second. And there's tons of videos out there showing people how it works. But this is just a quick, what is this sundial about? And it's carved into this stone in the side of these buildings.
The 13th century is designed as a giant chariot.
We'll start this
This
over.
Konark Sun Temple, built in the 13th century, is designed as a giant chariot. This architectural marvel is dedicated to the sun god, Surya, and is a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of ancient Indian artisans. The temple features intricately carved stone wheels and horses, symbolizing the chariot of the sun god. Each wheel is a sundial, and the entire structure is aligned with the east-west direction to capture the first rays of the sun. The detailed carvings depict various scenes from Hindu mythology, showcasing the rich cultural heritage of India. The temple's grandeur and historical significance make it a UNESCO World Heritage Site, attracting visitors from around the world to marvel at its beauty and intricate details.
So that's just a short video about it, and here's a little bit longer video.
Hey guys, I'm going to show you the accuracy of the sundial at Konark Sun Temple in India, built in 1250 AD. People still use it today to tell time. Let me show you a short clip of a tour guide figuring out the time, and then I will explain how the sundial works.
39 minutes baki hai.
And you can
The
look
sundial
at this yourself.
has 8 major spokes that divide. This means
We don't really need to get into the mechanicals of how it works, but this is just more proof of the sun is in the same spot in the sky every day at the same time of year. It never moves around. It's always in the same position at a certain time of year. And of course, in the wintertime, it's at a different angle. It's lower in the sky from your perspective. But these sundials are carved on the edges of the building, and they're accurate down to like 15 seconds. And these people have measured it. And all you have to do is like stick your arm up there, and they explain how all this works. And this is not any new technology. You know, this carving right here is, they think it's 750 years old. And there's older ones than that, but this is just one of them that I found that I thought was pretty amazing. So that's one of the old sundials. So here's an overall of the building here. Yeah, that was a foul. There we go. So there is no volume to this video.
Of religious significance is at Konark town in Puri.
That shows you how big this thing is, and it's got these carvings all the way around it.
King Narsimhadeva I of
I want to get
geographical location.
Look at the
temple.
There's the sundials right there. So you can see the sundials are right around here, and 2 of them are for measuring the sun, and the other ones are for decoration.
Temple is designed.
When I say measuring the sun, the time.
In the shape of a huge chariot drawn by 7 horses with 12 wheels, carrying Surya, the sun god. These huge wheels work as sundials. The temple itself signifies time. The temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is one of the architectural wonders of India. The 12 months of a year and 24 wheels of the chariot represent the 24 hours of a day. There are 8 major spokes and 8 minor spokes in the wheel.
Anyway,
the
this is
minor
not really a
spoke
class
between
on
2
sundials.
major.
This is just to kind of prove to you that we're stationary and the things above us, the sun is moving, the moon is moving, the stars are moving. We're stationary. It would be an impossibility for a sundial and an astrolabe to work if what NASA says is true. NASA's telling us we're going 514,000 miles an hour. Don't forget, this is what NASA tells you. NASA says this. NASA says this. All this nonsense, motion that you never feel. And there's a speed coming up here pretty soon. Or did we already pass the speed? Where's the speed? I want this to be in the video one more time. There we go. Right there. That's just absurd. Do you know how, computer, how fast is a 22 caliber bullet?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, 1,800 feet per second, 1,800 FPS, if it's a high-velocity 22 LR round.
Computer, how many miles per hour is a 22 caliber bullet?
A 22 caliber bullet has a velocity of 1,045 feet per second, 319 meters per second. This information is provided by the standard velocity 22 short. It is also mentioned that the bullet weighs 29 grains and that it penetrates 2 inches, 51 millimeters, of soft pine.
Okay. I still want miles per hour. Am I not hearing it correctly? How's it going, Nightbot? And I'm drinking some decaf tea. I'm just going to do a quick Google search. But yeah, you see where that NASA says we're going 514,000 miles an hour. And notice how that is also a CGI. Everything that NASA does is CGI. Let's see, how many mph is a 22 bullet traveling? 22 caliber bullet is it's giving me feet per second. I want to be able to convert it to this stupid miles per hour thing. How fast does a bullet travel? Miles per hour. Does anybody know the actual answer to that? Because I want to be able to do some math on that. Can you put it in the chat? How many miles per hour does an average 22 bullet travel? Miles per hour, not feet per second. Can somebody in the chat put that? Ask her for 22. Anyway, it's absurd to think that we're traveling way faster. Divide it by 12. Divide it by 12. So divide this 514,000 by 12. So let's do that real quick, just for fun. So we're going to do 514.000 divided by 12, according to Chris, equals, that's only 42 miles an hour. That's not making any sense. No, that's 42 times faster than a bullet. Okay, there we go. So NASA's telling us that we're traveling throughout the galaxy, and this is, okay, wait, part of Bonsai says 2,500. All right, so let's do that. So let's do, I should have hit clear. There was another fail. All right, so let's clear this out, and we're going to go 514.000, 514,000 miles an hour, divided by 2,059 miles an hour equals, that's saying we're going 0.24 something times faster than, did I do that right? Than a bullet. It doesn't make any sense. Because that's 514,000 miles per hour. But you get the point. If a bullet's traveling 2,000 miles per hour, and they say that we're going through this galaxy at 514,000 miles per hour, it's absurd. Yeah, 25% of the speed, 818 miles per hour. Yeah, we got all these figures. I'm just going to stay away from math. We just know that, do you feel any of this movement? When you get in your car and you go 30 miles an hour and you come to a stop real quick, you can feel that. When you accelerate, you can feel that. All right, so what are we doing next here? Let's go to Antarctica. So let's take a little trip to Antarctica. Did I put that in here? Here we go.
When a man with a Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, two-time Navy...
Now this is when Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica and they discovered land past the, just so you know what we're looking at here, they discovered land past the ice wall. So let me zoom into this picture real quick. So again, this is the real flat Earth map that the UN logo is. As a matter of fact, the United Nations is this map. So Admiral Byrd, they took a trip through, I'm going to draw. They went somewhere through this, and they hit this landmass, or they went over through here and found that landmass, or they went over here. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to really look into this a lot more. They went through one of these because at certain times of the year, it's the ice is melted enough where you can get through the ice wall and get to these other land masses. When they discovered this, they interviewed him, and I also have that interview in here somewhere, and he says that we have undiscovered land past the ice wall. So I'll see if we're going to cover that on this one. But that's what we're talking about right now. They took this little trip with a whole bunch of military people, and then when they discovered it, they were like, whoops, we're going to have to create the Antarctic Treaty, which they found out that in 1959 they had to stop people from going to Antarctica because they were discovering land past the ice wall. So that's what this video is about.
When a man with a Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, two-time Navy Distinguished Service Medal, two-time Legion of Merit Medal, and a Distinguished Flying Cross Congressional Gold Medal tells you that one doesn't equal one, you drop everything you are doing and listen. In the case...
And I'm not going to make you watch this whole video. I'm going to just scan through it and show you that, wow, this actually happened. You can find the documentaries, and I have them, and we can play them if you want. I found them on archive.org, and they're really old, but you can see the footage. It's pretty badass.
In the case of this man, he tells us that Antarctica isn't what we know it as. If anything, Antarctica is a thriving continent with people living in it for generations. If he is right, that means everything our government has ever said was a lie. I know they do lie, but this lie would be the ruler of all lies. And then you start to realize that the lies are not the problem, but what they are covering up in Antarctica that made them lie in the first place. Admiral Richard E. Byrd was one of the most decorated officers in the U.S. Navy. He is the only person in history to have 3 ticker tape parades in New York City, one in 1926, 1927, and 1930, given in his honor. He was also one of only 4 American military officers in history entitled to wear a medal with his own image on it. When it comes to accomplishments, authenticity, and awards,
All right, so yeah,
there is no
he's
one
a
like Richard E.
badass.
Byrd. But what Byrd was mostly known for was his expedition. He explored places no one wanted to go. You see, Byrd always wanted to be the first in everything. It was like an obsession for him, which could be why he had so many first awards tagged to him, like being the first and youngest admiral at just the age of 41. His obsession with being the first is why he had no problem leading the expedition to Antarctica. From the early 1900s...
Happy Thanksgiving, Big Dogma. Shout out to Big Dogma in the chat.
To the early 2000s, he led 5 different trips to the Antarctic. The last 3...
I don't normally hand out wrenches, but Big Dogma, I don't know why you don't have one. But here's your blue wrench. Just know it's to drop links and not to moderate the chat, because everybody knows there's no moderating in the chat, and it's a freedom of speech chat. So here's your wrench there, Big Dogma. Boom. I don't know why you didn't have one, but I pulled a lot of wrenches a long time ago, and I never put them back whenever there was a rogue mod. So I'm slowly getting the wrenches back. Most of the wrenches, like I said, are just for dropping links and honorary wrenches. So there's a happy wrench there.
3 of these trips were paid for by the U.S. government, while the first 2 were from his pocket and some believers. Byrd's first trip to the Antarctic took place in 1928, with 2 ships and 3...
All right, start paying attention to these dates, because remember, the governments around the world created the Antarctic Treaty. Do I still have this I still have the writing on my... There's a rookie move. Hold on. Let me get rid of the drawings there. All right, so they enacted the treaty in 1959, December 1st, and listen to the dates. Whenever he went to Antarctica, they finally had to put a stop to it because he was letting out too much information on his interviews.
Airplanes. Throughout the summer, trips were made to take pictures and study the rocks, and radio contact with the outside world was kept at all times. Then, during the summer of 1933 and 1934, Byrd went on his second trip and worked alone for 5 months at what was known as an advance base, which was a meteorological station. It was during this expedition that he almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning from a stove that didn't have enough airflow. While all these were great and useful expeditions, those were not the expeditions that people talked about. The first 2 were free of any sort of controversies, but
it's the third one that they had to shut him down because he started going too far.
Third one wasn't, and weirdly enough, this was when the government started getting involved with Byrd's expedition. From 1946 to 1947, Byrd led an expedition called...
So from 1946 to 47, they're still doing this, and remember, it's now, you can't go to Antarctica past a certain point after 1959.
Called Operation High Jump, which set up a research base on the Ross Ice Shelf called Little America for 4.
Antarctica, a composite portrait of a continent which has challenged man since first he could sail beyond the limits of his horizon.
The Antarctic continent.
World War II had shown that U.S. ships and aircraft were not up to cold weather. Ships that were operating in the Arctic Sea often froze up, and I mean that literally. Planes coming from Greenland and even Iceland crashed just because of the weather. So in response to that, the U.S. came up with a set of steps to make it easier to use these ships and planes under Arctic conditions. At the same time, the U.S. wanted to see if this could be done from a long distance. Operation High Jump would be created to test and find answers to these questions. A naval task force would go to Antarctica as part of a drill to see how well the equipment...
All right, this is where the misinformation comes in. They were saying it was a drill. No, this was to discover the lands past the ice wall. But they called it Operation High Jump because they were experimenting with their military equipment. So this is where all the misinformation starts coming in.
Equipment stood out against the cold. Then, also, map out a big part of it to either claim the land or to satisfy Pentagon's curiosity. And the best person for this kind of job was the fearless and experienced Admiral Byrd. The operation went so well that it got terminated early. It was because of this mission that ships and planes would be winterized in the years after High Jump, so that they could go to war with the Soviets again if one broke out. The most well-known example is how nuclear-capable B-29 bombers were made ready for winter so they could fly from Alaska. All what I've told you so far was the government version of the story. But here is where people started to ask questions. If it was just a drill, why are you going with 14 ships, 33 aircraft, and about 4,700 men armed to the teeth? There were 2 destroyers.
Because they were getting ready to fight these superhumans. That's my thinking. Because there's species of humans, like people, that live past the ice wall.
Tankers, 2 heavily armed seaplanes, and an attack submarine all fully stocked with the best weapons in the entire Navy. That was really a lot of equipment and personnel for just a drill. Apparently they needed that number to fight the Nazis in Antarctica.
Right, not.
You see, in December 1938, Hitler already knew he was about to start a war, so he was putting things in order and getting help from every aspect, including the ones that people would call you crazy for thinking about it. Imagine being on the brink of war and then sending your troops to go find mysterious ancient artifacts that could be used in your favor. Sounds stupid, right? But to Hitler, it wasn't. Anything that could help him was explored. So he signed off on multiple expeditions. One of these expeditions launched on December 17th, 1938, and the SAS Schwabenland was sent on a secret mission to Antarctica. On board were scientists, engineers, and also members of the Thule Society.
Remember, this is before the treaty, before it was illegal to go to Antarctica past a certain point. So they're still doing their best to fight whatever they're finding over there or discover lands.
Which was a German occultist group. The Thule Society had a lot of beliefs, and most of those beliefs were strongly rooted in racism, hurting anyone who was different than them, especially the Jews. But one belief they had was that a highly advanced race of human-like beings called Aryans,
now we're starting to talk a little bit of truth,
existed somewhere deep inside the Earth, and the entrance to Aryans' world was at the South Pole.
All right, so here's where the real misinformation comes in. So they're telling us that these Aryans lived in the hollow Earth. The Earth is not hollow. They could live past the ice wall in these other lands that I was showing you on this map right here. So the Aryans could be somewhere outside the Antarctic. So Antarctica, again, just in case you got here, is this ice wall around us. It's not a continent on the South Pole, it's the ice wall. And they were going with their ships to one of these land masses here, here, or probably here, or these, how should I say, advanced humans that they were willing to fight, or they got fought. They got their ass kicked. Nobody really knows what exactly happened, but there's a reason why we can't go past Antarctica. So let's get back to the video. All right. Where did the video go?
So the classified mission given by Hitler to the SS Schwabenland was to find a location for a secret underground base and make contact with the Aryans living in the hollow Earth. Once contact was made, they were to negotiate for access to their technology so that they could use it in the upcoming war. The ship reached the Antarctic coast a month later, and for the next couple of weeks, they mapped hundreds of thousands of square miles of the continent. About 150 miles inland, aerial reconnaissance found what is described as an Arctic oasis, an area of about 300 square miles. This area was free of ice, filled with warm water, and even contained plant life, which shouldn't be. The ocean beneath the oasis was a geothermal vent that kept the area relatively warm. This was the ideal place for a base, especially for you.
So this is a pretty long video.
But remember, I said the mission was cut short because it was successful.
Right, so the mission was cut short because it was successful. And then they enacted the Antarctic Treaty, just in case you forgot, in 1959, December 1st. So nobody can go do this ever again. So let's get back to this.
The mission lasted just 40 days, and almost immediately everyone was evacuated and the operation terminated. The Navy said it was because winter was coming early and the weather was getting worse, but in Antarctica, February was the height of summer. Their statement didn't correlate with the facts. Remember that they went there in the first place to test their stuff against the cold. If what they said was true, shouldn't the weather be perfect for their test?
Right.
This was when the
Yeah.
conspiracy...
So if they were going there to test their equipment, why did they leave whenever it got cold? Because that was the whole point of the test. They were going there for a different reason.
Theories started coming out. Did something happen in Antarctica that made the massive Navy group return to the United States? Probably to reassess and regroup. And what were they regrouping for? For a long time, nobody knew, but all that changed when a diary was found. On one of his routine flights, Admiral Byrd was flying over the South Pole.
So now we're getting back to Admiral Byrd, the guy that went past the ice wall at least once, for sure.
While speaking with the American public over live radio being relayed by the Navy to listeners. This was like watching your favorite influencer talk or share their experiences. However, during the broadcast, Byrd was cut off from his radio monologue for nearly 3 hours. No one could hear him, not even the Navy. This was a problem. No one knew where Byrd was or could communicate with him. It was after Byrd released his diary that we were able to see what happened in those 3 missing hours.
We are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion.
Now, mind you, this is past the ice wall in Antarctica.
There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth.
Now, at the time, Admiral Byrd didn't realize that the Earth was flat, and he didn't know he was crossing the ice ring. So that's why he couldn't figure it out, because he thought he was going to the middle of Antarctica, which is, just like a continent. But actually, he crossed the ice wall, and then YouTube, stream health, good. Okay, good. I got a pop-up. Are we getting buffering? Anyway, so he didn't realize that he crossed the ice wall, and then he found those other lands. That's where people are like, okay, something's going on here. We got to stop this. Because he discovered the ice ring, basically, and went public with it, not knowing that he was spilling the beans.
Byrd had stumbled on a place he couldn't explain. Antarctica is one of the coldest places on Earth. Warmth and green, fleshy plantations shouldn't exist. To even sound more confusing, Byrd talks about not seeing the sun anymore, which was worrying for him because he was having problems with his navigation system, so he had to resort to using the sun for directions, and now he can't find the sun.
The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible. Yet, there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal.
So the reason why he couldn't see the sun is because of this here. I really wish this map would stay right where I put it. So the reason why he couldn't see the sun, because he was probably over here somewhere. He was over here outside of, the sun does this. It goes in a circle over here. So in the summertime, it's like doing a circle here. And in the wintertime, it does that. So no telling what time of year they went. I can't remember. But he was either over here, way far away from the sun, or he was over here, or over here, or over here. So that's the problem. That's why he was so far away from the sun. Now, there's supposed to be another sun and a moon outside this ice ring, but it might have been the time of day he was at past that. But who knows at this point? I just know that everything that we've been told by NASA is a bunch of lies. It's all lies. Garbage.
Report this to base camp.
He tried to radio in, but the radio was not working. And that's when he saw it.
And you can see the words coming out of his mouth. I have an interview of him telling this exact same story that I might show here.
Ahead, we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. The aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God! Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic.
Can we read a little bit more dramatic?
Now, even I don't know what he saw. Was it an alien? Was it an ancient civilization? Was it actually the Aryans the Germans were looking for? What was it? Bird's radio finally starts to work, and a voice comes through speaking English with a Nordic or Germanic accent. The voice tells Bird that they would help him land, and he shouldn't worry, that he's in good hands. This was during World War II, so hearing anyone talk with a German accent about you trusting them was like trusting the devil for a blessing. But Bird couldn't do anything or run away. The engines on his plane stopped working and were under some strange control. It was driving itself and even landed safely, all by itself.
Several men are approaching on foot toward our aircraft. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large shimmering city, pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply. End log.
So you can look into all this yourself, but that's why they started the Antarctic Treaty, which was not allowing anybody to go past the ice wall. So that's a fact. Look
When a
it up
man with
yourself. So let's see. Do we want to cover any more of this stuff here? Or do we want to call it a night? And this is part 1. How long have we been going here? 42 minutes? Let's see, 71 minutes. Yeah, I might want to just call it good, and I could do a panel after this. So is everybody ready for a panel? Just a hangout Thanksgiving panel? I think I am. I want to gather more of my flat earth stuff. Let me go back and look at one more of my folders and see. I want to look for one more video while I'm doing that.
When a man with...
We'll just kind of have this here for a second. So I'm going to look for one more video here. We're going to go here. I'm going to look for I have too many folders. I have too much data. We're going to go into this flat earth stuff. And we're going to look for... I think this is it. I'm going to look for the interview. All right, we're going to play it with a different player because the Windows Media Player seems to be a little bit verklempt. I'm going to close this, and we're going to see what happens. Yeah. One more time. There we go. Is this the interview?
In chronoscope.
Yeah.
35 years ago on the North Pole because it's
so this is the actual interview. This is the reason why they started shutting things down, because he was spilling the beans about what he saw over there. So this is Admiral Byrd, and listen to this.
South Pole flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this?
And remember, the South Pole is the ice ring. It's not the continent like we brainwashed to think it is. It's actually the ice ring.
Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Well, Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral,
Yeah.
would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow
So
planes.
you heard it out of his mouth. He's talking about lands past the ice ring.
Expedition is going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you...
So they shut him down whenever he went and did this interview. They said, nope, you're not going now. You're talking too much.
So that there will be...
And back then, this was the most credible guy on Earth, basically. He had all the credentials. This guy hung the moon. Whatever he said, people said, okay, he's not lying. And they had to shut him down.
A number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral Byrd, I can understand, I think everybody can, the interest in the North Pole because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia, but why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is there?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident, that's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested. It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world for science. That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be an untouched reservoir of natural resources. And, you know, as the world shrinks with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places, once useless, like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have military importance?
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future, I can see a time when it will be very, very important strategically.
Well, has the development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the frozen extremities?
Of the world fighting.
So again, after this interview, they pretty much shut him down. Like, no, we're not doing any more. You're not going to get to play anymore. So, and this is the footage from
of actually
that's a different video.
The United
I'm going to
Government...
be covering this in probably part 3 or 4, but this covers it's way bigger than you can imagine, the world we live in. Let's see if I can find an image of it here. Let's go here, because there's only not only one ice ring, but there's a couple of ice rings. So here's another map, and it shows all the different continents, and they all have names. I'm just looking for an image here. Maybe it's at the very beginning. There we go. Well, that doesn't show the whole thing. But that's going to be probably part 2. We're not going to get into that, but it's way bigger than you can imagine. There's worlds, past worlds, and we're not the only ones out here. So when it's part 2, I don't know. I'm working. I'm at work technically right now, so that's why I'm in front of screens, and I have a live cut over it at 11. So I plan on doing a panel here in a little bit, so I'm going to call this one good for now. This is part 1, introduction of what I would call the astrolabe, and the fact that we're not moving, we're stationary, and the stars above us are moving and staying in the exact same spot every year, and the astrolabe measures that. How's it going there, Troy? Let's see. You know, Troy, before I stop this stream, I think you, out of all people, need one of these. Blue wrench. Don't you need one of these? I think so.
What you gonna do? My wrench is blue. Shut up, throw, let the soul flow. Grab me block you, what you gonna do? Read the check, get fast, smoke grass. I don't have a rest, time me out, bitch. Freedom
now,
of
as you
speech,
know,
my
Troy,
ass, smoke grass. Thanks for the race, I won't leave it in the rain.
don't leave it in the rain.
The power of the mob. Let me block you, what you gonna
This wrench is just for dropping links, not to moderate the chat. This is a freedom of speech chat, so I don't care what anybody says. So there you go, Troy. All right, so let's get back to...
I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV. Ha ha, the real deal. Nice to meet you, big time. I'm Small Fry.
All right, so we're going to do a panel next, so give me about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll get a panel going. And it's just going to be a panel about whatever, a little Thanksgiving get-together. And we'll do part 2, maybe next week if I have time. So I'm going to play the new song that I created for the channel, and you might like it because some of the stuff has some value.
What you gonna do? My wrench is blue. Shut up, throw. Let the soul flow. Grab me block you. What you gonna do? Read the check. Get fast, smoke grass. I don't have a wrench. Time me out, bitch. Freedom of speech. My ass, smoke grass. Thanks for the wrench. I won't leave it in the rain. Munch the power of the mob. Let me block you. What you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Let me block you. What you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Let me block you. What you gonna do? Munch the power of the mob. Block me, block you. What you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Block me, block you. What you gonna do? Squirrel!
That's true.
What you gonna do? My wrench is blue. Shut up, troll, let the soul flow.
I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV.
Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Read the check, get fast, smoke grass. I don't have a wrench, time me out, bitch. Freedom of speech, my ass, smoke grass. Thanks for the wrench, I won't leave it in the rain. Munch the power of the mud. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Block me, block you, what you gonna do? Fly TV is the place to be. Block me, block you, what you gonna do?
I'm the Big Fry, Fry TV.
Squirrel!
The real deal.
Hot Pockets!
All right, panel coming up next in about 10 minutes.